Welcome, my fellow Riz Elite members. This is Chris with Riz International, and I am joined tonight on the weekly market recap by the man Riz himself. Riz, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, Chris. Doing well.
That's awesome. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm looking forward to the Q&A session because we always get some awesome questions while you're here. But let's go ahead and kind of take a look at what's going on in the overall market to start off with this week. And after we had some crazy stuff going on Friday with coronavirus and all that, brouhaha, for lack of a better term, the S&P 500 has rebounded incredibly well. Thursday, we made a new all-time high at, let's see here exactly what that was at. High was now 3347.96 is our new all-time high on the S&P 500. So the market looking very strong. Bit of a pullback on Friday, not entirely unexpected after four massive green days for the S&P 500, gapping up both days and remaining strong pretty much throughout the day. And then Friday was our only red day of the week. So very nice bullish move on the market here, looking strong. Obviously, we have shaken off the coronavirus fever, especially when Corona Beer alerted that it actually was not related to them at all, which I thought was, hilarious that someone actually had to say that. But, it's the market. So speaking of the S&P 500, let's go ahead and take a look at what is going on in all the different market sectors right now. Last week, we actually were down on the year. The S&P 500 was below the zero line, but we have rebounded nicely, as you saw in that previous slide. Now the S&P 500 currently stands at plus 2.27% on the year. Those sectors that are propping up the market are the real estate, tech, and utilities right now. Those are all outperforming the S&P 500 here, with utilities being in the top spot. Tech right behind it, of course. Last year, tech was the big finisher last year, and real estate coming in about 1.25% over the market. Those market sectors that are underperforming at this point are healthcare, financials, and energy. Holy cow, look at energy, down almost 11% on the year. Healthcare and financials are basically flat at this point. Healthcare up 0.89% and financials down 0.5%. So energy really dragging things down, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute, and I'm going to get Riz's opinion on this, so be ready for that. Taking a look at the overall world markets, obviously coronavirus had its impact on the world markets as well. When we're looking here on the Chinese markets, we saw a huge rundown last week, massive gap down in the Chinese market, a lot of indecision, and then some rebound, somewhat mirroring the S&P 500 here during this week. We saw a similar pattern emerging with the emerging markets and the developed markets. As you can see on these two slides at the bottom, we had a strong push down. This week, we pushed back up. So a lot of hype going on with coronavirus, and a lot of it was, let's just say, overblown. But let's keep on moving here. Enough about that. Let's move on to the asset classes. And this is the one where I definitely want to get Riz's input on here. Obviously, we had some big moves here over the last couple of weeks in oil and, specifically this week in the dollar pushing up really strong. Riz, what is causing this just rollover in oil, and what's pushing the dollar up so high?
Yeah, so good question. Oil has definitely been something that we've been watching over the last couple of weeks as it's trickled lower. As you can see in the top right-hand corner of the screen and the chart, big push lower from the $60 mark. And you can see the Bollinger Band kind of acting as a support level there. I think oil is relatively safe right now at the $49.50 mark per barrel. And as a result, we have entered. Granted, the entry on my end was a bit, I would say, early, especially around the 53, 54 level, because of course I can't tell the future, but oil has come lower. What I do like currently is OPEC, the oil production companies, plus Russia. Are supposedly having talks. Maybe they're going to have a meeting in person. and decide what to do about oil production and supply. The reason being because, of course, without a doubt, there is going to be less demand. We've seen that right out of China already. There's going to be probably less demand globally because of less travel, whether it's automobile or airline. We're seeing overall slower economic activity. As to how it will impact GDP, we don't know. In terms of the U.S., what we do know is it's about gonna, I would say, take off about 0.5% of the annualized GDP off of China's GDP numbers, and China has already guided on that. Now, how that relates to a dollar, usually dollar and oil do move inverse. So this makes sense, right? It's not always a one-to-one correlation, but in this example, you can see right below the oil chart is the dollar currency index. Now, dollar currency index is against the broader currencies and average, right? It's not against the Canadian dollar or the euro. It's against all the global currencies and an average. So we can see how the dollar is moving in respect to other global currencies. And in this case, it's up, right? Look at that bullish level from 97.75 to 98.70 now, right? So this does make sense. U.S. strong. The fact that we had that impeachment trial get completed, the fact that U.S. is still performing really nicely in terms of economic indicators, earnings are great, and oil coming down all leads to a bullish move in the U.S. dollar. And how things are going to play out for the future, well, that remains to be seen. My theory is already that, we have found a pretty decent level, $49 to $50 in the oil U.S. WTI crude price per barrel. As far as the U.S. dollar, I think it gets still around a little bit higher, above I would say closer to $99 in that index. So we'll see how that goes. And while I'm at it, might as well touch on gold. Gold is still holding the 1550, 1580 area in the ounce. So do I think gold is going to go up to 1600? It could, but I think that's a bit too rich for my liking, considering that the markets are doing fine, considering the economy is going well. I think gold is going to stay around this level. I'm not expecting it to crash below 1500 or anything, but I think it will stay around this area.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that insight. I really appreciate it. And I'll date myself a little bit here, but hearkening back to my youth, as they said regarding the impeachment trial, if it does not fit, you must acquit. So I hope you all enjoyed the OJ reference there. Now, moving on, let's take a look at cryptocurrency. So crypto was in a huge rundown, specifically Bitcoin, over the latter part of last year. And now we're actually starting to see a pretty strong move in Bitcoin here, making a push up higher past previously held, support and resistance right around 9,000. And we broke out of this downtrend here right at the beginning of the year. So Bitcoin looking a bit stronger. The other coins are, creeping up fairly slowly. Nothing crazy like we saw back in 2019 or anything like that, or even 2018 when crypto was the flavor of the month. So, we still are not taking any positions in crypto. We still don't recommend that you take any positions in crypto, and that is going to be our stance for some time. At this point, we're just watching, and we want to see what's going to happen. But it is interesting that Bitcoin is making, this pretty strong bullish move here, and now resistance has become support. You can see that we pushed up higher here. Let me zoom in a little bit, make it a little easier to see. We came up here, we hit, we rejected, we got a strong push up, and now it's established over this support level, and we see a really nice bounce off of that area there. So really strong area there, right around 9,100 for Bitcoin, and it is bouncing off of there pretty hard right now. So Bitcoin looking very bullish. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the trades that we have closed this week. I want to start, talking about this, making sure everybody knows the trades that we got out of. so that you can keep an eye on that. Now, I do recommend everybody make sure if we post something in the guidance and insight section on Discord that you are reading that. Please prioritize that, is because that is when we tell you if we're getting out of a position. That's where we tell you. We don't put it in the general chat. It goes in the guidance and insights. So MU, we took this one short. This one, okay, there we go. Got out of this one on Monday pretty much right at break even. We got a push back down, but we just didn't see the move. It started to look like it was going to rebound here on Monday, and that was a pretty clean exit, if you ask me. Very well timed. Sadly, we didn't get the continued rollover like we were hoping for, but when we did see that bounce, it was a pretty clear time that we needed to get out. So that was good. BYND, our good old BYND. This is okay. So if you've watched the day trading channel, you'll know that I have traded this a couple times fairly successfully. But we do also swing trade this garbage. And we swing traded this one short, and we got out of this one for a very nice profit on Tuesday. This one worked out really well. Came down here, started to bounce. We got out, and it was, again, a very clean exit. It was the time to get out. We had capitalized on the short position and looked to be rebounding, and definitely a good close there. That was excellent. Let's see here. VGC. This one, that can't be right. I think that's a typo. I'm going to have to go back and look it up because I know we didn't trade this one.
I think it's VSC. I think. Yeah.
VSC. VSC.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, there we
Freddy.
go. Okay, there we go. No. VF. V is Freddy.
That looks better.
Yep.
Okay. So if anybody forgot to, couldn't figure that one out, it's because Riz typed it wrong in the guidance and insight section. So I'm putting it all on Riz for that one. It's okay. I'm messing with you, buddy. It's not big. So I took this long here after this huge post-earnings sell-off, and we're looking for the rebound here. We didn't really get it. And, we decided to go ahead and close this on Tuesday right around break even. And guys, sometimes this will happen. It's just, the setup looked good. And we were seeing all green lights, but it didn't behave the way we wanted to. And just go ahead and let it go. And as you can see, it was a good choice. We got out on Tuesday, and here around break even. And what she do on Friday, down she went. So hope that if you decide to go ahead and get out of that, you got out at a good spot. Let's see here. All right, so Tesla on Wednesday. This was a fun one. So let's just say that Riz was day trading this one with a vengeance on Wednesday, and we did actually open a swing position, and we sent an alert for this on Wednesday, and it hit profit target 2 within half an hour of us posting the alert. So we actually went ahead and closed that on Wednesday, same in and out day. Sometimes, again, it's rare that you will get something like this where we will post a swing trade and then we'll be out in the same day, because we typically don't try and do that. That's what the day trading channel is for. But sometimes the entry is perfect and you get the move, and you got to take it when you have the chance. All right. Getting towards the end here on this one, then we'll go on our open trades. Boeing. Oops. This one was very nice. We had some questions about this last week. This was an absolutely beautiful long play here. Really looking at an absolutely perfect textbook technical play here. We had the sell-off Pre-earnings, came back on earnings, sold off a bit more, and then wow, up she went on Wednesday and Thursday. Beautiful, beautiful play on that one. We closed that one on Friday. Let's see, DAL. Oops. Took this one, DAL, after the post-earnings rip. We ripped up high, and then it just tanked. And so we got in on the buy the dip play. Sadly, didn't quite work out the way we were hoping. This one was, again, a long play once the rebound came in, and just wasn't looking good on Friday. And so we went ahead and closed that one. Such is life. We actually closed this one pre-market. And sometimes we will do that. Someone asked me the other day how you trade pre-market and during after hours. Most brokerages will allow you to do this, and a lot of them will do it at no cost. Any good broker should allow you to trade during those times. And so, again, make sure you are keeping an eye on your guidance and insights channel on Discord, especially early. Around the 8:30 mark, in case we decide to go ahead and exit a position pre-market if it's not looking so hot. We'll talk about BILI here in a little bit. Okay, so those were all the trades that we closed this week. Let's go to our open positions. Okay, Facebook. Unofficial until it's Facebook official. In long at 210 on Monday morning, right around the open, actually. And a beautiful little push up on Facebook here. Easily passed profit target 1 of 210. Didn't quite make it to profit target 2 at 215, but a very nice bullish move here on Facebook. Again, we saw this type of pattern on MU. Of course, MU was to the downside. But here on Facebook, we got the earnings gap down. It came down, found support, bounced up above the 50 moving average here, which I have in the light blue, came back, bounced off of it again. So very bullish move here on Facebook. We were able to capitalize on that. Very nice long play on this one. So hopefully all of you who got into it, I'm seeing a lot of people are in that on, based on Discord, people putting the check marks on. And I would recommend that everybody do that. If you do take a position that we alert, please put those little check marks in on Discord. It really helps us know how many people are in the trade. And, we want to make sure that we're giving you guys guidance on trades that you're in. So we will keep doing that. United Airlines on Monday in long at 76.70. Again here, a pretty massive gap down on earnings. Holy cow. What a sell-off, but a beautiful little bounce here. We seem to have found, technical support here around the 74 area, a little bit higher, about 74.25. And we got in long on this one on Monday. In at, like I said, 76.70, currently up about 280 per share, just about. If my mental math is going correctly there. So very nice little move on this one. Already passed profit target 1, easily surpassed profit target 2 on Thursday. So a very nice push on this. Again, keep an eye on this one if you're still holding it open, but definitely don't let this one run back against you, because this is a beautiful little bounce here to capitalize. So that was a very nice play if you got in that one. Tesla we talked about on Wednesday. I'll bring it back up. Oops, might help if I could type. Typing's not my skill tonight. So, when you see crap like this, you can't help but short it. I'm sorry. This is pure hype and pure stupidity at its finest or worst, depending on how you want to look at it. But, here on Tuesday, it was just absolutely nuts. I mean, look at the whipsaw in this candle. Let's see here. So the high was 968. So let's call it 970. And low was 833. So 830. That's like, let's see, well over $100 per share, $140 per share movement in Tesla in one day. And it basically closed flat. The open and close price was almost the same. So this is a really good sign, actually, if you're looking to, from a technical standpoint, if you like to try and read candlestick patterns, things like that. This is what we call a doji or a pin bar, or whatever you want to call it, but it shows a lot of indecision, and you can see that it pushed up, almost to 1,000 to 968.99. Came back down, actually went red on the day for a little while, came back up, and it basically closed flat. So, I mean, it was ridiculous in Tesla on Tuesday. And when we saw the weakness in it on Wednesday, we went ahead and took the short position at 805. Easily was able to close that one for profit. See if I can show you where 805 is. 805 is right around here. And profit target one was 770, which we easily hit. Like I said, the low was 704 on the day. So very easy little swing trade on Tesla, and we enjoyed that one quite a bit. All right, BILI is one we talk about. In short on BILI here, and this one moved against us pretty hardcore, not going to lie. It really was showing a very nice pattern on Wednesday. It looked like a pretty solid double top here, but Thursday it kind of, gave us the finger and said, no, I'm not going to behave the way you want me to. And we did have a ridiculous breakout on Thursday. We still hold this short in the fund. I know people have asked me about this. And whether we hold it or not, or things like that. Yes, we still hold it. We provided guidance for you on that. It seemed to be a lot of hype on Thursday, and we have come back down. So we have recouped about half of that, the negative underlying P&L there. So it is looking a bit better. I'll have to see what it does on Monday, but please make sure you are putting a stop loss on this one at a location that you are comfortable with your risk tolerance. As always, we constantly advise on Discord that the profit targets and the stop losses are simply guidance. It's what we think is a fair area to either enter or not enter, to exit the trade, whether it be for positive or negative. But that doesn't mean that we are putting hard stops or that we recommend that you put a hard stop at either location. We don't. We typically don't do that type of thing in the fund. We keep an eye on it, and we're able to enter and exit manually. Now, I understand some of you have to work and things like that, and you can't be sitting there and watching the market all day, and I totally get that. I used to have a day job like that, and I couldn't watch the market all the time like I'd like to. And so sometimes placing a hard stop can save you, but it can also prematurely get you out of a trade as well. So just be aware of that and keep an eye on it. And like we said, our guidance was to make sure you put a hard stop on this. So please make sure that you do that to make sure that you're okay and you're protected. EPD. In long on EPD on Wednesday at 26.50. Okay, let's move that about. So beautiful little bounce here off of previously held support. Obviously, right now we are down a little bit. We're basically sitting right at our stop loss at this point, but still fundamentally, and this company is in very solid shape. Has kind of been slaughtered pre and post earnings. We're looking for the rebound, and this one seems like it should be pretty good. And if you are in our Alpha portfolio group, you should be very familiar with this company because we have traded it quite a bit. So again, this one right now sitting right at stop loss, but you can continue to hold if you feel okay with that and you're okay with taking on the risk because, again, we believe in this trade. We think it's going to work out, and we are doing that. Slack Technologies. This is a new one. Work. Amazing ticker name. It's about as good as Salesforce with CRM. In long on Slack at 22.73. This one is going okay on this one, not making the move that we were hoping for. Obviously, a huge move on Tuesday. Holy cow, look at that push up. That was really, very bullish candle here, and we were hoping to get a little bit more buying into this so we could get out a bit quicker. We have retraced somewhat. However, we found support here right around the 2250 area. It's bounced off of there twice. Looking very solid on this one. Not planning on holding this one for too very long. So keep an eye on this one. I see a lot of you took it on Discord. So please keep an eye on guidance to make sure that if we do get out, you know. Insight, INCY. In long on Insight at 75.87. Currently just a smidge down on this one with the sell-off in the market on Friday. That didn't really help this position here. Really nice bounce here off of this. As you can see, this isn't the first time we have rebounded off this 72 area. So we were looking for the continuation after Wednesday on this one. Sadly, we haven't gotten it. Fundamentals are solid on this company, but it really has been slapped down since basically not since last earnings. We had a bit of grind up, but then about about early to mid-December, down she went, and we've been fighting since then, but still a lot of room here for profit. Again, this is a solid company. You should be okay with this one. Funko. We were talking about fundamental companies. Now, this one I'm not going to say is a very solid fundamental company, but holy crap, look at that. What a rollover here. Massive drop, 40% on negative guidance release. Wow. Down she went. Someone flushed the toilet. In long on 944. This one is sadly already past stop loss. We were expecting the dead cat bounce here. Didn't get it. And so I would not recommend holding this one much longer. You can if you feel, that there is still some life here in Funko, but please be very careful if you hold this one past stop loss because this one's not so hot. Riz, you have something to add?
Yeah, I'm going to interject on this. So personally, yes, you're right. This one rolled over, absolutely unprecedented. The trade is in loss. I am still in it. I will not be shorting it. Mike just asked if I'm going to short it. I'm not going to switch over to short. I'm holding this because we do have earnings coming up in a month or so. My take is either we hold it till then because they released this guidance because it's really prudent for them to. They have to, otherwise they would have gotten sued if they knew something and they wouldn't disclose it to shareholders. So this is why they disclosed guidance before earnings. Now, here's the thing. I think, now I can be wrong, I think that this sell-off obviously factors in the horrible guidance, hence the 40% haircut. But going into earnings, I think irrespective of what they do, I think it's priced in. The negative move is priced in. So this is one of the reasons why I also felt it was prudent to take a long. Of course, it sold off, which I'm not too surprised. There's always a chance of that. When you have a big drop, the next day is usually a continuation move. This is why this wasn't a large position. I hope you didn't take a large position. As I mentioned, I like to build up these positions if I see that it makes sense to. In this case, I've not added any more. I'm not going to add any more just yet. I'm waiting to see what happens on Monday. It will very much depend on how things look on Monday in the broader market. Keep in mind that this could very well continue to go lower. So always there's no specific binary this, that, if this happens, right? It's very much dependent on how the market's doing. In this case, a catalyst like releasing a guidance. Obviously, no one outside of the company knew this would happen. Otherwise, everyone would have pummeled it already. So this is a bit of an unprecedented move, unexpected move as well. So let's see how this goes. Abide by your risk management. Abide by your stops if you use them, depending on your situation. As Chris mentioned earlier, I do not use hard stops. We do not use hard stops in the fund. I do not use hard stops across accounts, whether they're for swing trading, whether they're for investing, no matter what. This is my personal take. I know it goes against what you're supposed to do when you're new, but I'm not new. And my risk tolerance is obviously beyond most people's, along with the capital, to be frank. So really proceed according to your own metrics. I can't handhold. I'm not meant to handhold. I am not trading your account. I am not overseeing your rates. So keep that in mind. For anyone that feels like, oh, Riz, it's gone against us. Well, boo-hoo, this is how it works. Okay?
Very straightforward. I like that. Boo-hoo, that's how it works. We're going to have to use that again. I like that. And as always, Athena always must interject into the webinar at some point. So now we've got that out of the way. Hopefully she'll be quiet the rest of the time. All right, we got two more tickers to look at, and then we're going to go ahead and open up the floor to questions. In short, on IBM, wow, look at that run up. IBM just going the way of Tesla, for lack of a better term. The pattern looks almost exactly the same. Really, really overextended here on IBM. So we got in short on Friday at 153.60. Currently sitting up 20% on this one, basically. But we did get in closer towards the close around 2 p.m. So not surprised that it hasn't made a huge move since then. But still, this looks ripe for a short. This thing looks like it's going to come back to earth here fairly soon. So this short, very nice, really overextended, and I think this pullback is going to happen. So it is behaving exactly how I expected it. In long, last trade of the day, in long on UPS. UPS getting absolutely hammered post earnings here. Looking for the dip buy position in long at 103.60 with about 20 minutes left before the market closed. So really nice dip buy opportunity here if the market and in a UPS follows the market, we should start to see a rebound here fairly soon on UPS. However, again, we don't know the future. It could continue to go lower after this post-earnings slaughter, for lack of a better term. But again, UPS very solid, and I don't think this delivery company is going to be going anywhere soon, except the fact that they delivered some bad news on earnings. So want to go ahead and open up the floor to any questions you guys have. Obviously, we've talked about the Funko question already. Let me make sure that no one has messaged me on Discord. No, not yet. So yeah, guys, we have Riz here. You want to talk about markets, specific tickers, whatever you want to talk about. We're here for you. So go ahead. Let everybody type in their incredibly complex questions for Riz and try and stump him.
Hopefully not too complex, guys. But yeah, any questions you guys have, I do appreciate the support coming on. It's just great. I enjoy getting on. I made a promise to John, so I'm sticking by that promise to be on more. Obviously, it's a pleasure to be on and be joined by Chris, who often hosts these wonderful, amazing webinars. To be honest, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I wish I had these kinds of webinars when I was starting or when I was going through my journey. Because is it absolutely eventful. It's absolutely informational. And people that are in Elite get access to this. We go above and beyond. If you wouldn't know, we give above and beyond. We give day trades. We give swing trades. We give options trades. We give you training and insights on my part when we exit and the webinar. So frankly, I don't want to sick and more. So hope you guys appreciate that. Antonio, that's what you suggest buying more oil at these levels. Yeah. So obviously, putting my money where my mouth is. I have added some. I actually didn't give any guidance on that because I felt like I may be a bit early to the party. I don't want people to follow me when I think it's a bit more risky. So I've added more across my accounts. And since you're asking, yes, in good conscience, I could say yes, you could add more. Of course, make sure these kinds of positions are in line with your portfolio, in line with your account, because we know the markets can go anywhere. Like, John shared some of those news and insights, and we had a brief conversation in Discord chat room before this webinar on how the Wuhan virus, or sorry, I should say the coronavirus, has always been in the headlines, continues to be in the headlines, and that can move markets. And as we know, it's had impact on oil. So can oil lower to 49.48? Yes. Is it a good buying opportunity? In my point of view, yes. All right. So hope that gives you an answer. And so thanks for being on and for the good question. Mike asked another good question. What are my thoughts on ABBV or AGN long? Setup looks good. So, Chris, let's bring up ABBV. This is something we've looked at before. It's tremendous. It's had a great earnings results. It's a great company. I've traded it in and out a few times, and obviously along with their elite members. This thing, as you can see, it's a great breakout. Can it run? Yes. Do I like to buy these kinds of moves? Not really. If you've been around, you've been paying attention, I'm more of a mean reversion trader. Mean reversion hasn't worked too well in this completely moronic melt up market the last couple of years, but hey, this is the way it works. This is the way it is. I can't argue with the market. But if I had to classify myself, for those of you that have taken the masterclass, you would know I'm more of the Maximus. Um, I would say the more mean reversion style, right? So personally, I don't like getting long on these kind of moves. Could it run? Absolutely. Personally, not a buyer. AGN, let's take a look at that. I believe that's Allergan. I think I could be wrong, but that is another one that has also continued to move up. And no surprise here, another good company. Personally, another breakout continue, but the setup looks very similar to me in terms of not buying on too much of a rise. That's me personally. So definitely, proceed according to your kind of style and what you feel. These stocks are moving up based on their earnings, not too much to do with the coronavirus, as you mentioned. Okay, coronavirus, if you want to look at a stock that's moved solely based on that, we'll bring up GILD. As Chris brings up, let me look at the chart. Yeah, Gilead Sciences. Look at this one. Okay. Huge mover. This thing moves huge. This has been in a relatively sideways channel for the long term, but it had a big breakout. I think, let's see, what is that? Thursday, right? Thursday, big breakout. Friday, another continuation upwards, but a pullback to close the day. Still higher on the week, but a bit of a retrace, right? So take a look at that. A little bit of a breakout. Can it continue? I think it's a great company. The fact that this company was tapped on the shoulder for the coronavirus, what's it called? God, I'm blanking out. The treatment, or I would say I don't know, Chris, you're the scientist. I can't even remember the word. Oh God, vaccine. Antonio, thank you for saving me, my friend. The vaccine. There we go. Yeah. So the vaccine for this is apparently going to be developed by them. It sounds good. There's been some positive news out from UK on the vaccine news. So let's see how this goes. That's one. If you want to really ride the train, I think this one could be one, because I find the company is also a bit undervalued. So I like these kind of moves. Just to give you, kind of my here, these kind of moves, buying when companies are undervalued. The trend isn't like a friggin' vertical line upwards like Allergan or AbbVie. Could they continue? Yeah, but usually I'm not a buyer in those kind of price moves, right? I like kind of breakouts where the stock has been in the doldrums. I like moves where I'm buying on dip. I like moves where companies undervalued and momentum's coming in. Okay. So Eric asks a question: what would be a good time to average down an alpha portfolio? Right. So alpha a bit different, Eric. I will answer this since you asked. Now, keep buying in terms of what your risk tolerance is, what your account size is. You see the percentage weightings in the alpha portfolio. Again, for those of you not aware, the alpha portfolio is a medium to long-term investment portfolio, completely separate from what we do in the elite trading. But to answer your question, you can add to the major key positions like EPD. You can add a little bit to MPLX. You can add to some of those positions that are in there. There's a lot of good companies in there, and we only hold solid companies. So you can add some. It's very much up to you, right? Try and mimic the percentage weightings. That's your goal. Okay, as part of being an alpha, that's your goal, to try and mimic those percentage weightings compared to your portfolio. The more you drift away from it, that's going to obviously impact your returns. Like, for example, if we hold EPD in alpha, if you thought you wanted to average down, but now all of a sudden you've averaged down and your portfolio is 40% in EPD, well, that's going to be a bit of an issue if it continues to drop, right? That's not something I can condone. But again, I'm hoping people exercise caution, people exercise the ability to follow the metrics that I give, which is, I think EPD has maybe 5 or 8% portfolio exposure. So try and stay with that. Maybe you can up it a bit, but very much up to you. Another question from Eric's second question is thoughts on AIMT, FDA approved peanut allergy treatment, 85% institutional owned. This one is, look at that. Chris has brought it up, and I think we can see when that news came out or something happened. The first day of February 1st, that big move up, but after that it's dropped. Right. I personally am not liking how this is moving. It's up obviously for the year, but not really looking too good. Volume is dying out. So personally, not a buy from me. Okay, based on what I see. Again, I haven't looked into the fundamentals. Chris, maybe you want to pull it up quickly while we're here so that people can get a brief shakedown on this. If you can pull it up
Yeah, give
in
me just
either
a second.
Finviz or even here. And John, we'll get to waste management as well. Okay, in a moment. We'll just bring up the fundamentals on AIMT. Thank you, Chris. So look at this. Okay, we're gonna do a quick rundown here. Take a look at the EPS, Eric. Losing money, right, which is often the case with these biotech companies. The market cap 1.8, so it's not too big. Take a look at the ROA and ROE metrics. I believe you've taken the master class, so those aren't good. If you take a look at the earnings this year are down, or EPS next 5 years, that's up 34.60, but that's a projection. Frankly, screw those numbers, okay? Because these analysts that report on that can't tell what next year's is going to be, let alone next 5 years. Okay, so all things that I'm looking at is not really a good thing. Like EPS quarter over quarter down. Price to book is overinflated. They're having negative income. Not my cup of tea. Okay, if this anything, this may be a short on a technical side, but because I'm not too familiar with it, because it's had a great rundown, I'm probably not going to touch this for a short either. All right, hopefully that makes sense. That was just a quick and dirty, just fundamental look. All right, let's bring up waste management in TradingView, Chris, and let's take a look at that as John asked. So while Chris brings that up, here we are, massive run up from the end of the year last year. Earnings are coming. This is a very solid company. I don't see it dropping anytime soon. I'm a bit torn on this because for me this is a bit too much. I mean, Chris doesn't have an RSI indicator on it, but if and you don't have to put it up, Chris, but I will say that to me, irrespective of any indicator, this looks a bit much leading into earnings. They could have a good earnings. Personally, not a buy at this level. Okay. There is a bit of a lag or so. Sorry about that. For those of you on the webinar, I will address that. But yeah, John, that's my opinion. I'm not going to be shorting it, but I'm also not looking to buy on earnings coming up. That's my personal take. Okay, Alex and us, he's been holding Walmart, and they have earnings coming out soon. It's always like they're trying to poke at Amazon a bit. Absolutely, they're trying to poke at Amazon, and they've done well so far, contrary to belief. So WMT ticker. If Chris, you can zoom out for the last 2 years, whatever, on the daily chart, you'll see how Walmart has done extraordinarily well, against Amazon. Right? They've done amazing over the last couple of years. And that's when Amazon's competition's been the strongest. So you can see, I think, management, I forgot CEO's name, but he's done a great job so far. How they're going to do on earnings, I don't know, but it should be good. I mean, it's the holiday quarter. Walmart's done well so far. They do well on earnings often. I think, holding onto this is not a bad idea. It's consolidating the last month and a half, or month, I should say. again, earnings are a toss-up. I'll be very frank. They're 50-50. I don't have information inside of Walmart or any company. So, no one's going to like to admit this, but it's a coin toss carrying through. If you're a long-term investor, absolutely, I think, carry it until it gets to 120 area, then maybe you can consider pulling out on the resistance area. If you are a short-term trader, I think maybe it's setting up to move up again. Very much dependent on earnings. Uh, if it does drop, keep in mind how Chris has that 2-day moving average at 113 level. That could be a good support. I think it will be a great support if it does dip. All right, so keep an eye on Walmart. I'll be keeping an eye on it. I'll share the major earnings releases for this week coming up in the Elite Discord server. We'll be keeping an eye on this. I think it looks good for a hold. But again, is there some proprietary method to this? Is there something I know that you don't? No, unfortunately, no. So it's a coin toss. All right. And thanks, Chris, for the intro on the CEO. It's Douglas McMillan. I'm not sure if the CEO changed, but either way, if he's been running the ship the last couple of years, he's done a fantastic job. So hats off to him. Um, I don't think I missed any other questions. No, I don't think I missed any questions. Yeah, so, well, 1966, Chris brought up some information on him. So, yeah, 53 years old, I believe. So, any questions? Could be about markets, could be about anything really. I'm not on here all the time, so I like to have a bit of fun while we're on this for everyone involved. Either way, thanks for joining. I hope if you have questions, now the time to ask. I hope you found the answers satisfactory. You know, I think putting me on the spot here is a good thing, right, Chris?
Absolutely. While people type in the chat, Riz, why don't you tell us? Yeah, there's a bit of a delay. So, Riz, while everybody's typing, why don't you tell us what's your favorite motorcycle?
Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
I said, what's your favorite motorcycle?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's a long story, but I'm a big fan of BMW S1000RR, the Ducati Panigales, but I'll leave that because if I start on that, I may not be able to stop. But John actually just came in and with the question, yes, we don't do this now, but doing a leap for BA. Yeah, so this one's a bit tricky. Leap options are long-term options, for lack of a better explanation, mostly a year on out. Again, you can tweak it to the expiry that you want. But yes, I think it's a good opportunity if you have some money to speculate for long term. You don't want to take a large position and tie up that capital. I think leaps are good. Again, just understand they're all mostly time value. And they don't decay too much because the majority of the decay happens a couple months in to expiry. So you don't wait too much of a decay, just mostly about the price moving in the right direction in the next months. But yeah, I think leaps are good for this specific company. What strike and what expiry obviously is going to be very much dependent on you and the very intricate details of each option leg. Okay. Hopefully that helps, John, give you a little bit of idea. Any other questions that you guys may have? Otherwise, we will call it wrap. We covered quite a bit in here. Some great attendance. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. There were a few people typing, but I don't think anymore. John is typing right now, so we'll wait for him to send it over. And then if there are no more questions, we will call it a wrap. Mike is typing as well. So we'll give it a moment till these questions come in. Yeah, yes, John. Yeah, so John says, yeah, we'll take a look at the expiries and strikes this week. Yep, sounds like a plan. I think it's looking good. It is a bit of short-term resistance right now. But in the long term, it doesn't matter. Right? For leaks, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is, do you think the company is going to rally or grow or do well a year or more out? Okay. Um, so yes, thank you, Mike. Thanks again for joining. Hopefully we answered all your questions, guys. Doesn't seem to be any more questions, so we'll leave it here. Chris, anything for me? Problem, John. I guess Chris is probably lagging out quite a bit. So we'll leave
No,
that.
I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight, having the great participation, all the fantastic questions. It was great, and of course, Riz, thanks for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate it. I know the guys love it. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, everyone.